Cool. Welcome to another edition of our awesome dev calls. We do have some stuff to talk about today. What we really want to do is kind of give you, so first and foremost, we're going to welcome Steve, one of our engineers to the call. He is going to do the education section of tonight, and he's going to talk about his Gentle Wake Up. Some of you might be familiar with Gentle Wake Up, some of you may not, but he recently did some updates to it, and what he did is kind of this new way of thinking about smart app relationships. So we're going to have him go through that. And the next thing we're going to talk about is some platform stuff. So I just kind of want to go over with you guys, give you guys maybe some deeper details on some of the platform updates we've done. You may or may not have seen my posts with platform updates in the release notes, but we'll kind of go over those and give you some more details on exactly what some of those mean. Then we'll do a little bit about SDC, tell you who's going to be there, maybe what's going to be going on, give some discount codes out, and talk about that. And then we're going to open it up for a Q&A. So it should be a relatively quick call, and we're excited to see what questions you guys have. We'll go ahead and get started. So Steve, I think if you want to go ahead and take it away. Like I said, Steve has a really cool... It's this really cool new interaction that I've never seen before. So I honestly am not really 100% sure how it works. So I'm interested to hear how Steve explains it and shows how it works. So Steve, take it away.
Cool, thanks. Hi, everyone. So if you're not familiar with Gentle Wake Up, I thought I'd just take a minute and kind of explain what it is and why it is, I guess. It's designed to mimic the sunrise and the sunset. Withings actually has a product called Aura that is like a sleep tracker. It's a pad that goes under your mattress, and then they have this other component to it that lights up and changes colors as you're falling asleep and as you wake up. And they did a bunch of studies to figure out, like to base it off circadian rhythms or whatever, and they found that falling asleep, if it's a warm white and then fades down to red, helps kind of trick your brain into thinking the sun's going down, you should go to sleep. And likewise in the mornings, if it goes from blue to a cool white, that helps you to wake up. It kind of makes you feel energized, or at least that's the theory behind it. That's the science kind of. And so I tried to do the same thing using Hue bulbs, and that's really how it started. Is I mostly wanted that. I have a really hard time waking up in the morning, and I need all the help I can get. And so then it's just a series of schedules that fire to change your lights 1% at a time over a course of time. And if you're using Hue bulbs, you can set it to change colors along with it. So that's kind of where it came from. And the tricky part about that is it's scheduled to run over like half an hour or an hour, let's say. And if I was reading and I wanted to, extend it by 10, 15 minutes, there was no way to do that. And if I went to bed and I was super tired and I wanted to jump it forward, so that I only had 10 or 15 minutes left, I couldn't do that either. And the only thing I could think of to do it was with the slider in like a device tile. And so what I ended up doing is I created a device type that is essentially an interface to the Gentle Wake Up smart app. So you can control it, you can see the status of it, see where it's at kind of. And that's where I ended up. Let me see if I can share my screen. I can show you some code. I can demo it, I guess, too. Can everyone see that?
Yep, I can see it.
Cool. Okay. So this is what my device type looks like. This is a bug in iOS right now. That's getting fixed in the next version. And so it's really, really simple, not much to it. I can hit the play button and it'll start Gentle Wake Up. And actually upstairs right now in my bedroom, the lights are changing. And this is what I was talking about, where I wanted to just like jump it forward and be able to scrub through time essentially. And I can stop it as well. So there's not much going on there, but it provides a nice interaction for my smart app. And the device type actually doesn't have a whole lot going on, so I just make my multi-attribute tile here, and that's all you see. And I started with a couple of other tiles before I realized I could actually make multi-attribute tiles. I knew that we could make them. I just didn't realize that they were already documented and available to the public yet. So I initially started with the old school tiles. But so then I came down here, and these are all of the commands and attributes that I allow the controller to have. Like I have, capability, sorry. So I have like switch and time session. And what this allows me to do is it allows other smart apps to actually control Gentle Wake Up when Gentle Wake Up starts and stops. And they could even change the percentage base, because it's, I guess time session is where I use that one. But yeah, if you look at the actual device type, there's nothing going on here. All it does is it receives commands from either user interaction or from another smart app, and then it just sends it up to the parent. And so there's nothing special going on here at all, except that now other smart apps can control my smart app in a way that I think makes a lot of sense. I suppose you can see that too, huh? Oh boy. So that was actually the reasoning for adding the controller, more than like being able to adjust the time and being able to jump through the dimming duration was a big factor for usability for me. But really, I kept Gentle Wake Up. If you've never looked at this code, is gigantic. It's 1,000 lines long, and that's absurdly long. Granted, the first like 200 or so lines are all like setting up the pages and all the preferences blocks, but it's still, most of it is like logic for when to start, when to stop, all these various rules, and then a bunch of helper methods too for when I've changed it and changed logic and had to make migrations and make sure that old versions still ran properly and new versions would run just fine side by side. And then when the actual update happened, that it was a smooth transition for anybody. So it's getting kind of cluttered. I'm not super happy with how cluttered it is and how big it is. I'd like to take a swipe at cleaning it up. But I also, at the last time I did this, I really wanted to add some more features and like some rules for when to start it and when to stop it, and any kind of completion actions that should happen. But rather than building those in again, as I did in the past, I figured, well, if we had a way to allow smart apps to control other smart apps, we could just write a smart app to control Gentle Wake Up, and so the controller is kind of that step, I suppose. So yeah, I mean, I can get into how Gentle Wake Up works, but if anyone has any questions, or if we wanted to focus on the controller aspect of it.
Yeah, can you maybe go through the logic of how the slider, and I think, it might be pretty simple, but how is the slider actually, and I know it says jump to percent complete. Are you basically just doing a percentage of over time? Like how is that working?
Yeah. So Gentle Wake Up, excuse me. Like Gentle Wake Up runs over a certain amount of time, like half hour to an hour or whatever you set. And what it essentially does is, like, if you think about the start and end time, then real time like moves through it. How it actually works under the covers is all percentage based, or really like a calculation from the start time to right now. And so to make this percentage jump, I had to calculate backwards essentially and move the start time to earlier instead of later. And let's look at that. So it takes a percentage, and then I just calculate. I guess I'm going for the end, not the beginning. Calculate how far off the ending of it is from that percentage that they want, and then I figure out the duration that should be left, and then I shift the start backwards to the offset essentially, and then I immediately update all the dimmers and adjust the time, or I guess this is just sending the time remaining to the controller. Because like when you move the sliders, like sometimes it wouldn't move again for 6 to 12 seconds, let's say. So I just update dimmers immediately to give you that immediate feedback.
Awesome. And so basically you're saying that a variable, there's a time variable for every percentage, right? So 1% is 3 seconds, let's say. And so you just jump ahead that. If you want to jump ahead 30%, you just jump ahead, 66 seconds.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Okay.
And in doing so, since it's all calculating based, like I have a start and an end date actually. Since I have that, I have to actually shift those, and that's how all the calculations happen. So like.
Gotcha.
You're not far off on the schedule, by the way. It's for the default for half an hour. It ends up being about 6 seconds. Which,
nice. All right.
Yeah, which is definitely not supported. The smallest amount of time a schedule technically is supported is 1 minute.
Right.
And so that was a common problem that I actually had, is that the schedules are not guaranteed to fire at all because they're only 6 seconds apart. But then I also had, like, if they do fire, they might not fire until after an entire minute has gone by.
Okay.
And so throughout Gentle Wake Up, I actually expect several schedules to fail. And so I actually, to solve that, I scheduled more schedules.
Okay.
So I have a health check that runs every minute to pick up whenever it fails.
And is this a cron versus a run-in?
I think I do both, because when I wrote this, we were transitioning our scheduling, and one of them was more reliable at super short intervals than the other. So, and I haven't actually changed it since, but I've been told that they're both running on the same now.
Right.
Yeah, so here's my health check actually running increment.
Just looking for, like, because we get this a lot on the community, is how do we could we run more than 6 seconds? And the answer is yes, but it's not necessarily, we're not going to say it's reliable, because that slow of an increment, it takes some time to get up, to actually schedule, to get put in the queue. There's a lot that has to go on in 6 seconds if you're going to run it every 6 seconds. But more looking for like what was the kind of, how did your health check work? So to give you some background of what I might, how to answer my question.
Well, that's That's really so. Yeah, here I have the health check running on a cron schedule, and that's really it. Is like I couldn't. There's no way. I spoke to people who actually built our scheduler and actively work on it, and we went through all the ways to make it run at a 6-second interval consistently, and there's no way to do it. Because like you said, like it takes time to start a smart app up and execute it and then schedule it. And then like the scheduler itself has its own processes that aren't like, they're just not guaranteed to run that fast. And so that's why I added this health check to run at the minimum amount of time that would be consistent. And all that ends up doing is that just calls whatever method it is to increment the lights, which does the calculation based on time for what percentage it should be, and then reschedules the next run.
Awesome. Cool.
So yeah, like there's no, if you're getting to kind of answer your question, if you're getting questions about it, there's nothing that can be done to make it run consistently at super short intervals.
Other than the health check.
Right. Cool. I suppose no. I'm not even
Fair enough. Yeah, I mean, it's just I honestly, I really appreciate you running through this and taking a look, showing us some of the code. And it's just a really interesting way to interact with a smart app that I'd never seen before. I mean, I could see a whole bunch of different, you could have a device type that, like you had there, that could then, talk to a smart app that can control multiple lights. Things like that. I mean, it seems simple, but something like this shows that's possible. And I'll be honest with you, I've never really thought of doing that. Having a child device control a smart app that can control multiple lights. You can get feedback. You could find out how many lights are on out of that group. I mean, you could create your own, kind of conglomerate device. Definitely a really cool way to interact with a smart app.
Yeah, and like I said, another huge benefit to that is then smart apps could control other smart apps, right? Like this controller is just a switch. So if I didn't write in rules for starting gentle wake up that you wanted, like you could use whatever the smart lights smart app, for instance, has a ton of options that you could use this with and just like turn this on, and like I think that's where the real power comes in, is that other smart apps can now control this smart app.
Yeah.
We just don't have a way for smart apps to subscribe to other smart apps, for instance.
Right. Yep. Yeah, I mean, you could create a whole bunch of stuff that goes back and forth and create some really unique things. Really appreciate you sharing. And this is up in the public repo, right?
Yeah, yep. That's actually exactly where I'm looking at. I'm looking at the public repo on GitHub.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Yeah, so, I mean, I'm probably going to write something up about this because, I think it's pretty unique and definitely appreciate you sharing. I don't think we need to take up any more of your time. I just slated for 20 minutes, so that's about where we're at. So, I think thank you so much. If you want to hang out, on the call, you're more than welcome to. But I think if you want to call tonight, don't think you have to stay for us lowly old people.
Come on, can't live without yes. Cool. Thanks.
Cool. Yep. Thanks a lot, man. Really appreciate it. Cool. All right. Well, let's move on to the next section. I'm going to talk about some of the platform stuff that we've done. Please interject if you want. If you have any questions as I go through it, please interject. I'll try and give some, like I said, some deeper details. So first and foremost, we did make some changes to the state variable. So there is a caveat there. it's not a fix. It's an improvement in a way. And when I say in a way, there was, a caveat of possibly some timeouts there. So we are seeing some more timeouts, but the reads are more successful. So, it's definitely not our long-term fix, but it was kind of a stopgap to get the state variables from just clearing, which is obviously a really bad thing. So, the data is no longer going to be clearing, but sometimes you may just get a timeout when you go to read it. We are working on that. We want to resolve that. And that kind of brings us back into the whole Cassandra thing. And that's where that problem kind of lies, and that's more of a bigger beast. So, not ideal. We definitely know that, but we didn't want state variables to continue to clear because that's awful. We know that. So definitely a stopgap. This is by no means like resolved in our eyes. So, definitely still at the top of our priority list. And, one of our driving factors to get, as maybe a benchmark in a way of platform stability and reliability is, we have these kind of like top issues that are affecting, and that's one of them. And until that's fixed, we probably won't come out and say like everything's hunky dory, it's fine. Just wanted to get you guys, let you guys know that there were some caveats there, but that we're still focused on it. Next thing, we did some back-end improvements. They're relatively low-level stuff, but wanted to go through them in a little bit more detail. So we fixed some null pointer exceptions when trying to retrieve the label from the tile definition. That was more of a pure back-end thing. It was a null pointer exception that was being caused when you would go read a label that maybe wasn't there, and because a device doesn't have to have a label, so you could have a device with a name that never got a label, and we would throw a null pointer exception every time we went to go read that. So no longer throwing the null pointer exception. So seems like a pretty small thing, but over the grand scheme of things, if everyone's doing that over the entire platform, you can imagine the number of null pointer exceptions we were getting. So our goal is, we have some bigger fixes in mind, but, these smaller, with seemingly less intense fixes also go a long way to help the platform become better and more stable. Less null pointer exceptions means less logging, means less load on our platform. So still a good thing. We also ended limiting, we are now limiting an event size name for event indexes. This does not affect you guys. When I say you guys, I mean developers. This is a table that we were using for something internally, basically, for data management, which is our big engine. And anything that you guys are reading doesn't come from this table, but what we were finding is, for instance, Sonos specifically, if the event that was sent didn't have a name defined, we would automatically default to the name being the value. And in some cases, the value for the event, for a Sonos event, was like 30 to 40K characters. And as you can imagine, the key for the store on the line in the database would get pretty large if there were 30K characters. So we're now truncating that. Again, doesn't really affect you guys, but again, it's a really good example of some of the things that we're finding that are just really causing this unnecessary load, and so we're squashing those things and getting them out of the way and fixing them. So that's what that one is all about. If you were wondering if that was going to affect you, should not affect you. But if you see any weirdness, please let us know. But it shouldn't affect you. Next thing we did is we had some general rooms stuff. So we had rooms that were basically what would happen is if the room, if you deleted a room and the delete from the modification to the database timed out, sometimes what would happen is you would have this like orphaned, not device necessarily. The device was still there, it would still work, all that kind of good stuff. But what wouldn't happen is you wouldn't be able to view the device anywhere. And that was because it would go to, hold on, I'm gonna try and mute here. Okay. So what would happen is you would delete the room. The room wouldn't, the relationship between the room and the device wouldn't be removed. And then whenever you went to go view that device, it would try to reference the room as well. And the room doesn't exist anymore. You get a null pointer exception and it wouldn't allow you to access the device. That has been fixed. And then also there was a bug separately from that where you could, that same thing where a timeout from deleting a room would cause the device to be orphaned, and that has also been fixed. So general just rooms reliability. We also fixed just a general error where the rooms couldn't be created on Android, and that helped out a lot to get rid of some errors on the platform. And I have a couple more. Hold on, I'm still looking for them. All right. And then we saw some other stuff. So we've improved some platform caching. And basically that just allows us to not hit the database as often when we know the value hasn't changed. So again, just looking to improve reliability on Cassandra and take that load away from it. Null pointer exception on devices that don't have a location. So we were basically always referencing the location every time you would go to look at a device or actuate a device or whatever. And we've stopped, we now, like, this is more of a virtual device thing, for instance. If you created a virtual device and only put it in a hub but didn't give it a location, you would be throwing null pointer exceptions on the background. It wasn't that your device didn't work, you were just throwing null pointer exceptions. So we've resolved some of that. Platform exceptions caused by multi-attribute tiles. So this should be two-pronged. It should help your multi-attribute tiles to work better. And it should also decrease logging load and things like that. Fixed the delayed device commands, so that should be working. So before it was should be in milliseconds, but we accidentally converted it to seconds. And then some just, we've been plugging away at some other random, very, very, very low level stuff that didn't really make sense for us to share because it doesn't really face you guys. And so, just to give a blanket statement, we have out of the changes I've shared so far, we probably have maybe 3 times that as far as like some really low level stuff. So just want to put that out there too, that, we didn't fix just 7 things. We fixed a lot more than that. And so, incremental, meaningful improvements, very deliberate, tested, QA'd. We're definitely trying to do better and get these fixes out there and get the platform reliable. Okay, so saying all that, does anyone have any questions? Patrick, I'd be remiss if I didn't agree with your comment. I don't think you could. I wouldn't say a lot was, broken. I mean, broken's a pretty harsh term, but I would maybe call it technical debt. And we're paying that down, and we're focused on paying that down now. Cool. No questions?
I
Mike?
actually have one. Okay, I understand the platform has been getting some criticism lately from various sources. Other than the platform fixes that you have mentioned, what is being done to regain the trust that was lost, like with last month's issues?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think it's kind of a multi-pronged approach. And, I think it's more about we've had some very conflicting priorities. It's not, as you become like as you try to become a more mature corporation and try and grow and add features and all that good stuff. You get partners coming from one side, you get leadership coming from another, and there's all these different priorities. So it's more about like focusing the priorities really well, and allowing our focus to be on the right things. And when we do that, we start to make really meaningful and impactful improvements. And that's really the only thing we can do to start to regain trust, right? Is say we're going to improve things and then deliver on that. And that's what we're focused on, is saying that we're going to fix things and delivering on it. So that's the most important thing that we're focused on right now, is saying, hey, we're going to provide meaningful updates, we're going to fix things, and we're going to actually do it. Did that answer your question?
That answers my question.
Cool. Anyone else have any questions? Cool. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. Where is my dev call agenda? Cool. So we talked about platform updates, got some education. Let's talk about SDC. Cool. We will have our ever so famous Patrick Stewart there. We're pretty excited to have Patrick there on one of our dev panels. So it's going to be pretty exciting. We're excited to have Patrick there. Jody and I are going to be there. We're going to have someone from Smart Tiles there. We're also going to have someone from Spruce Irrigation there. So that should be really exciting. We're really excited to talk with these guys in person and do this panel with them to show really what the Smart Things platform can do. You may have some debate whether it does that all the time, but it can do it. Whether it will do it, but yeah, we're definitely really excited about that. So Jody and I will be doing a workshop on the 26th, and then doing the panel on the 28th, I believe. I think it's the second day. And there's going to be Alex is giving a keynote. I'm going to try and find out how maybe you guys can, people who aren't going to be able to make it, I'm going to try and find out how we can maybe get you guys to view that somehow, maybe live, or maybe we can share a video with you guys and see if we can, let you guys participate remotely. And yeah, so it's going to be pretty good. We're going to have Dora speaking there. So Dora Hugh is our, Chief Platform Officer. So she's like Jody and I's boss, and so she's going to be talking. So it's going to be really good. I'm really excited about it. Jody and I have been like feverishly working to make sure that this thing goes off without a hitch. And yeah, so definitely pretty excited to see you guys there. Is there anyone other than Patrick on the call that is or is not coming? Well, I guess if you're not coming, don't tell me, but anyone else coming? Benji, are you going? You're going, right, Benji?
Yeah, this is Larry. I'm going. I'll be there on your recommendation.
All right. You're going on the 26th too, right?
Yeah, I'll be there on 26th, 7th, and 8th.
All right.
Just trying to figure out what time's the one on the 26th. Your presentation, you're doing one in the afternoon. But what time?
2 p.m., I think.
Good, because I don't land till 12:30, so I should be able to make it.
Cool. All right. Great. And
I'll be there too. I don't remember if you mentioned me, but
oh yeah, you're gonna be. Are you gonna be a mentor, right?
I'll be a mentor, but I'm also doing a talk with Brad and Jenny on advanced smart app development.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That's right. Okay, cool. Yeah, so Steve will be there. He's like our smart app guru and Groovy guru and other stuff guru. So he'll teach you a lot of stuff. Cool. So yeah, so Steve will be there. I think Stryker from the community is going too. What I really want to do is get all you guys in a room and take you out for a beer or something, because that'd be really cool. Patrick, no beer for you though, because I said Bryce is going to be there. So I think he's already in the area. He's just staying over. So what'd you say?
Nothing.
Cool. So yeah. So Benji, I think we definitely want to do some stuff with Patrick, or see if we can let Patrick just kind of do his own thing and take some video and do some coverage of it. So that'll be real cool. Hopefully maybe we can do like Live Code Friday special edition SDC. I'm probably going to be not working on that Friday. So you said you're staying till Friday, right, Patrick?
Yeah, I have to be in San Diego on Friday, so I'm out of here. But plan on at least doing recaps and then uploading from the hotel. I'll be at the Hilton Hotel near Moscone and trying to carve out a spot there to catch up with anybody, and then we'll do an unofficial meetup for sure.
Yep. Great. Awesome. Cool. So yeah, SDC going to be pretty cool. Like I said, we'll definitely try and get you guys some good, get you guys involved that can't be there. So keep a lookout for that. Cool. That was really all I had to say about SDC. And up next is our Q&A. So anyone have any, no, maybe Steve dropped. No, Steve's right there. Okay. I want to make sure you're still on the call. So if anyone has any questions for Steve, about his gentle wake up, Steve, I don't know how okay you are with this. Stop, say no if you want, but if you have any questions, about some smart app development or, device type development that maybe you wanted to run past him, might be a good time. He's right here. Anything you guys are working on, having trouble with, let's help you get through that. Mike, I know you have questions. Or you can just yell at me. That's fine too.
Actually, I can't yell you because nothing's broken right now.
Because everything's broken?
No, nothing's broken.
Nothing's broken? All right, cool.
Yeah, yeah. Wait till tomorrow.
All right. Well, cool. So for at least one day, Mike Maxwell is in a perpetual state of bliss.
It is 420.
Right. The day's not over.
Problem solved. So that's what it needs to be. We just need to find out a way for it to be 420 for like ever.
Any day's 420 if you try hard enough.
And in Colorado, it's always 420.
Yeah, well, that's what I hear. Cool. Yeah. We're, like I said, Jody and I are here to answer your questions. It doesn't have to be about startup development either. I mean, it could be about whatever you want.
Yeah, there's live questions.
Yeah. Are you having trouble with your wife? I mean, we're here. Austin, are you having trouble like figuring out how to ask a girl to prom? We got your back, man.
Okay, well, actually, yeah, I'm kidding. Well, actually, I would like to say something to compliment the community.
Sure.
This week has actually been one of my best weeks of smart things because someone on the community figured out how to solve that AT&T Uverse issue,
Yep.
the reconnect issue that was mentioned, and I'm like going, wow. Of course, my internet hasn't gone down for me to test it. Knock on wood.
As your internet cuts out.
I'm going through a tunnel. Yeah, actually, but really, I think the community, like one of the greatest things about Smart Things is the community involvement on here, and it's like problem solving skills.
Yeah. It's great. The community is honestly, obviously it's hard to it's hard to be positive a little bit right now for everyone, and we get that. But even through all the negativity, which is not necessarily their fault, because things are broken. So that makes people angry, and we get that. But even through all the negativity, there's still a lot of positivity and people working on things and people helping people. So it's really good. How about install smart apps not showing up bug, parent-child smart apps causing errors on initial creation? Is that all one question or two?
Well, actually, there's two. But when you install a smart app, installed through the IDE, the dev IDE, and you have to go into locations, smart apps, and uncheck that child app box.
That'll be fixed tomorrow.
Tomorrow, okay. And then currently, any child smart app that's created using the official documentation errors out on initial creation, and then if you a phantom copy of it exists.
I think that has to do with the first bug. Because basically what's happening is it's creating a reference that doesn't necessarily exist yet until you uncheck that. It's this weird thing. I believe we're hopeful that it'll get fixed with the fix for that IDE checkbox. So that should be fine. So it should probably go out tomorrow. I think we're scheduled for 10 or 11 Central Time. So that'll be fixed. Josh Lyon, is the firmware update supposed to fix what as well?
I think he's referring to the Uverse thing.
Oh, Josh. So I honestly don't think so, Josh. That's kind of a whole separate thing. This was actually like a firmware bug where it would get stuck in a state where it would never look for DNS and just never update that. So that's a kind of a separate bug. That's fixed. It may help it. Don't get me wrong. But there's still the issue of this Uverse thing where it actually changes the DNS to some local 192.168.1.1, 1.0 or something like that. And the DNS lookups happen against that, and obviously can't find where we're trying to reach.
Yeah, from the way I understand it, it was like whenever your internet goes down, error page would, whenever you went on the internet, an error page would be brought up saying, hey, UVerse is having issues. Here's some troubleshooting steps. The hub is getting stuck on that page, essentially.
Right. Yep. And it's doing DNS lookups against like 192.168.1.0. So obviously it's not going to find anything. So it's pretty bad. And it's done as like a customer service feature where they can give you a notification that your internet isn't working, but it can do some pretty annoying things. So cool. Patrick, you mentioned something about your video device tile. So yes, why don't you go ahead and do a preview of it? I'm all for that.
Cool. Well, thanks to a little GitHub post, there was a streaming example for Tile UX testing that gave us some hints on how to potentially make this happen. And actually, Ben Leibson on? I'm not sure if he's on or not, but he's been helping me.
Yeah.
Hey man, how you doing? So he's got a D-Link. He's got a bunch of D-Link open source stuff that he's been testing it with, and I've written a mock-up parent-child smart app that will install multiple generic cameras. But what it allows you to do is it's been tested on Android with about a dozen different cameras, both RTSP streaming and MJPEG streaming, pretty much anything that can stream to Android.
So is it basically as long as the response is a stream?
Yeah, as long as the response is a stream and the Android or iOS device can handle it.
Right.
Effectively, if it shows up in a media player like VLC, it will play it back. Now, this has nothing to do with the streaming recording functions of the built-in approved cameras that can do clips and stuff.
Right.
In fact, in my testing, it's not even hitting the cloud. This is all local only. So it's camera to the mobile app. It's very fast. It's high quality. I'm streaming one camera on my HIK Vision stuff at 4 megapixels, basically 2500 by 1500 at 20 frames a second, and it's full resolution. I tested this on a Hub V1, so I know it's working on Hub V1 as well. This is what I wanted 2.5 years ago. So it's really cool that you can just really quickly pull up your app, tap on a camera, and see the live stream. But it won't do anything fancy. But just like my generic camera device type that did the images, this will be, you put in the stream URL and it will just work. So it'll work for any camera camera, website, anything that has an RTSP or essentially a stream format coming back in. So in fact, the example I think uses an Apple test 3GPG stream. So this could literally be a video player if you wanted to. If you're over in the UK and you have an IPTV stream, you can watch IPTV in your SmartThings tile. Not sure why you'd want to, but you could. It will not. If you have your cameras working local, one of the cool things is it does not require the host and port IP address to be in there. It does not. It just needs a unique DNI. It's not parsing any kind of LAN response or what have you. It's just a direct connection. So all of the crazy issues around S3 and the image corruption and everything that was happening with the images no longer applies, unless of course you want to incorporate it into a device type that has images. But so this is just really down dirty simple. I suspect that anybody who's got cameras could integrate a live stream view in it. I would like to find some iOS testers because my iOS does not support a lot of the native streams that Android does. So you don't have full support on Android, but very limited support on iOS because they don't have that kind of support.
What were you able to get like MJPEG and RTSP?
MJPEG, RTSP, HTTP, pretty much any URL that will play in the media stream of VLC will show up in this.
So, right, that's for Android. What about iOS? Like, what were you actually able to get to play?
I just got my hands on an Android device, and the HIK Vision stuff. It just looks like and it may just be the fact that I have an old device. I don't have the latest iPhones and stuff, so I'm just warning you. My testing on iOS has been less than stellar.
Okay. But it's more because the iOS doesn't have
it's not a platform limitation by any means. It's a limitation of the device or the manufacturer. Android has far more robust media handling.
Yeah, they're more. They've always been a little more open.
Hey, Patrick, if you want me to test, I'd be happy to. I have iPhones. I got the 4, 5, 6. Tablets, whatever else you want to do. If you want to send me, I'll jump on it.
I'll hit you up, Larry.
And if we're going to both be at SDC, we can even try it out there to see if it'll do it remote.
Yeah. Well, okay. So along the lines of remote, it will not work, and I will not recommend it working at all outside of your LAN. Some people port forward their cameras. If you do that, it might work, but I would highly discourage that. I have tested it over my VPN, and it works just fine over my VPN. And Benji, we might just figure out how to stream Live Code Fridays into the app. It's something that, frankly, I think is something that needs to be out there.
Yeah.
As far as I can tell, it's not going to have any impact on the platform. I have in my testing, I will just throw it out there, and I'm sure some people will run into it. Anything video related or image related with the Android app does cause memory leaks. This has been a long-standing problem with the mobile app, so you will get black screens or freeze-ups. I can get it to happen on the Samsung device that I have. So my guess is it's not anything related to the actual usage of this stream. It's just persistent memory leaks in the SmartThings app that just don't get fixed. So if you experience them, open a support ticket.
Yep.
I'm using stock Android and I'm not having any issues. I'm
Good.
also using port forwarding and not having any issues.
Yeah, except the security issue.
Yep.
I wonder if I can stream it to my VR. What do you think?
What's that?
VR.
If it's got an IPTV or RTSP stream, it could work.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could do some pretty unique stuff. And I talked with the video guys just to give you guys a little bit more background on it from where we stand. We are excited that Patrick kind of stumbled onto this and it kind of forced us to think about it. We hadn't, mostly just because we've been thinking about some other stuff, platform reliability being one of them. But yeah, so we're not worried about streaming. So stream at your heart's content. It doesn't make any database rights. It doesn't, it's not a worry for us. So that is 100% fine. As far as saving clips into Smart Home Monitor, there's a nice little preview. Is that the live stream happening right now?
Yeah, that is the live stream. And then let me turn it sideways. The cool thing is if you actually go full screen, you actually get a full filled video
Awesome.
of the camera. Let me see if I can get
That's
the
awesome.
So
That's beautiful quality.
Oh, it's amazing quality. It's 20 frames a second. I mean, it is, it's the full resolution of your camera. Now, most cameras support, well, not most cameras, some cameras support multiple streams, like the HIK Vision supports dual streams, so one can be lower resolution. And so you may want to, you may just want to drop to a lower resolution or what have you, because, you're inside of a tile and that type of stuff. But, and that may solve some of the iOS issues too. But there's Ben's. Ben's got a fully integrated D-Link with push or pan tilt zoom. And if you've ever tried to use pan tilt zoom on a camera with just using a photo, it's like, I think it's there. Ben was joking about it earlier. And
it's
now this
brutal when you're just trying to take a snapshot. And it takes 5 seconds.
I remember with the old when I had Foz cams, it was awful.
Yeah. So my goal is on Live Code Fridays this Friday we'll actually code up the parent smart app, child smart app, configuring up the IP address and the stream URL, creating a child device type. I think it's a great just kind of overview of how all that works.
Yep.
The code is super simple, so it's kind of surprising that this hasn't been out there already. But I fully expect people like Ben to take it and run with it in their custom device types. But if you just want to install one or more, video streams, this will be the real simple smart app to do.
Patrick, you were saying that it was running at 20 frames per second. Is that what the camera's producing, or is that actually the frame rate that you're getting into the app?
No, the HIK Vision at its full res maxes out at 20 frames a second. If you drop down just a little bit, I think at just slightly higher than 1080p, it'll do 30 frames a second.
Is there any way to view the actual frame rate going into the SmartThings app?
No, but if you pull it up in VLC, you can do media information and find out what the stream looks like.
Yep. Cool. Yeah. So real quick, just to talk about what I talked about internally with the video folks. So we are working on some stuff to better implement clip storage stuff. We're working on some partners on some different things, and while that won't be available very soon, when I say very soon, it wouldn't be, it's not in the next 3 months. We would probably start talking about it in 3 months. So yeah, we're not necessarily close to the idea of storing clips in the cloud. But yeah, as far as it's a conversation that's a little farther out. Again, mostly because we've put a lot of these kinds of conversations on hold in lieu of reliability and things. But yeah, it's not an absolute no, but it's just a not right now type thing. But stream all you want. We're happy to let you guys stream.
Yeah, and from what I understand, just gleaning a little bit of information, the cloud-based stuff has some, you guys have some restrictions around that for, maintaining the proper streams and that type of stuff. So, because this is just using native, iOS and Android stuff, this is a wide open, thing. But you can imagine. Just think of how YouTube handles it. Trying to import, convert, and manage clips. You have a lot of transcoding that has to be done and everything like that.
And it's also, we also want to make sure that we're very secure as far as who can put what where and who can get what from there, right? Yeah. That's something that we have to be very careful of. So we definitely don't want to just push this out and then have Patrick Stewart come around and figure out how to pull every video that we have.
Well, and on top of it, videos, and trust me, I know running a studio, video is very large and it's very expensive to store large files. So this is, when people go, well, why can't you do clips or why can't you do motion analysis and stuff? It's because that's not easy, and it's not cheap. So, SmartThings has got a plan. I don't even know if that's in place yet. Tim, is the $4.99 video clip stuff ever go into play?
It is in place, and honestly, it's all done. It's just it would not be in anyone's interest to push that out while we're having platform problems. It wouldn't be fair to you guys. We wouldn't want to do it to you. So it's that kind of stuff. But yeah, the clip storage itself will be. I've
always just wanted to be able to if I get an alert or if I get a message, my doorbell rings, I just want to be able to pull up live video.
Yep.
And multiple cameras potentially or what have you. Man, who's chewing? It's I think it's something that really kind of sets it apart because frankly, any camera that your phone supports will most likely work.
Yep. So and that's kind of and streaming, will always be free. So it's really, like you said, the clip storage is expensive, and that's what will be a paid for thing. But streaming whether that's through smart home monitor or through a custom device type like this, will always be free.
What I'm also seeing if I understand here is SmartThings trying to create a local first ideology for video due to the privacy.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yep. So yeah, so like with our certified cameras that can store up to the cloud and do all that stuff, it's all local. Anything that we capture is done locally on the hub. It is stored there in I think it's like a minute loop on the this kind of like recursive loop on the hub in what's called Video Core, and the only time it leaves Video Core is when you tell us to take it from Video Core and put it in the cloud. So other than that, we never that data never reaches the cloud on our end. Now, if you have a D-Link, for instance, I know they pretty much send everything up to their cloud so that you can view it. That's how they do their viewing, without having to have you port forward and all that kind of good stuff. So that's how they, do that. But, depending on what camera you have, the camera itself may send stuff to the cloud. But SmartThings doesn't send it to the cloud unless, it doesn't send it to the cloud unless you ask us to.
Thanks. I'm sure some tinfoil hat wearers were feeling concerned.
Yeah.
Well,
but if you happen to be using your phone near a Samsung TV, no, they just.
Yeah, well, then once you're using it near a Samsung TV or an LG TV, or all the stuff is zapped from your phone anyways.
Or an Amazon Alexa.
Right. Yep.
By the way, I found out you can tell Alexa to shut up, and she will.
Yeah.
Alexa, anyone go off?
Shut up.
Cool. All right. Well, Patrick, thank you for sharing. Definitely excited to see what comes out of this. I think we'll definitely see some really interesting device types, and definitely FOSCAM finally can do some real stuff instead of taking half-broken pictures.
I've tested with Panasonic's, D-Links, like really old cameras, even some other cameras that probably shouldn't work, but they RTSP stream, so you can get it. OnViv, in fact, I may write a OnViv scanning utility so you can find any OnViv compatible camera out there.
Nice.
Because that has
does Hikvision have any sort of API that you can do to scan and find?
Oh yeah, it's fully OnViv supported. So
OnViv is the protocol, right?
ONVIF.
Right. Okay.
It's like SSDP for cameras.
Right. I'm remembering now exactly what OnViv is. So cool. Yeah, you should totally do that.
Yeah. So I mean, what I hope, one of the things that I plan on building here over time is a kind of a crowdsourced stream URL. There are some good websites out there that you can find stream URLs, but one of the things I think would be cool to have people opt in is that if they have a working stream, is to then in the Smart app submit that back up to a web service that I'm going to create, so that you'll be able to create we'll build over time the working cameras that are available. And so if you just, it'll be like a search engine within the Smart app. You'll type in a manufacturer and we'll get a list of known working URLs here. So.
Oh, nice. Very cool.
Yeah. So we'll build it over time. So you won't, the first couple that we set up, it'll have to build. Yeah. I mean, Josh just posted the iSpy Connect sources. Yeah. That's a great source, but I don't want to just, I don't want to steal blatantly from what they have, but, individual users can see that. And if they confirm something working, what I want to do is send it up and then essentially crowdsource and build out that list of stuff. It'll be a web service that you can turn on and opt into, but by default, it won't, you'll be able to just put in the URL and just go. But if you want to share that working URL with people, with the web service, or if you need to discover some, I'll have some default ones to start with. But that'll be coming very shortly after SDC. But just wanted to get this streaming out here as fast as possible, but we wanted to make sure it didn't have any impact. And, what I will say, Tim, I think it was a great example of, how the developer community and SmartThings can work together is, this is the type of stuff you guys have been very sensitive about, and I really appreciate all the effort to check out and make sure that it's good. And I really appreciate Ben and a few others for not just jumping out at this. We are sensitive, obviously, to the to the platform and what impact it might have. So
and it's more it should never be absolutely no, but the only time it's no is like, hey, we have some concerns. And if we have no concerns, then then we'll tell you that. And so that I look forward to more interactions like that across the entire community.
And hey, I have a request for the next dev chat, if you could.
Yep.
I know there's been some talk on the community and what have you about the current HTML tile and devices being able to pull in graphs and charts and external images.
Yep.
I know there's at least one, I think it's the Watt Vision that uses it.
Yep.
If you could do like a little kind of official do's and don'ts or even a demonstration of that, I think that could really help a lot of external applications for devices for pulling a image resource in. And there was a big change. You and I talked about the whitelist to get that to work, but I'm sure you're aware of that now.
Yep. Yeah. Brackets are required now. Let me do some fishing internally. Again, check and make sure that we don't have any worries. And if we don't, then we can definitely talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not documented, but it's one of those things that, frankly, really starts to extend out device types and I mean, it's just an image you can bring in, but frankly, that image is created as a chart or whatever else that might be there. You can really get some cool.
You could get a shot of your deck every 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, think about pulling in your Bloom Sky video or GIF, that animation or what have you. I mean, there's just so many different applications for it, and it really starts to extend beyond the tile interface.
Yep.
Yeah, the time lapse. Thanks, Josh.
Yep. So awesome, cool. Yeah, let's. I'll check on that internally and see if we, like I said again, if we don't have any concerns, then we can definitely talk about it and maybe you can document it and things like that. And we'll move forward. So okay, it's 6:09, 10 minutes over. Patrick, again, thank you for sharing your device type. Ben, thanks for sharing your stuff. Steve, if you're still on here, thank you very much for joining. Definitely appreciate it. If you guys have any questions about his device type, if you're looking at it, let him and I know. You could probably just reach out to us on the community. As always, Slagle at smartthings.com, Jody at smartthings.com. Just reach out to us if you have any questions. And we'll keep the updates coming, guys. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. Cool. See you guys. Have a good night.